You're listening to Ask the Expert on Sprott Money News.
Welcome back to the Sprott Money News Ask the Expert series. I'm your host, Craig Hemke, and joining us for this episode is Chris Howard. Chris is the executive director at the Royal Mint in the UK, and it's a real treat to get a chance to visit with him. Chris, thank you for taking a couple of minutes to join us.
Craig, hi there. It's great to be here from the UK as well to join you on your show.
And Chris, I think this will be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be very helpful and informative for everybody out there that either enjoys numismatics or investing in bullion coins. I know the Mint does a bang-up job every year, and they're wonderful products. And so I think maybe where we'll start is just with some background. Maybe we'll just make question number one. Maybe you can just tell us a little bit about the bullion coins the Mint issues every year, maybe their brand name, and how many do you guys crank out every year?
Sure. Actually, we're quite a large organization. We cover three main areas of our business. One is making circulation coin. Those are coins in your pockets, like in North America, you have dollars, and we make pounds, and also money for other countries around the world. We also make commemorative coins in both precious metal and base metal. Those two business areas are key for us, and the one area I'm responsible for, which is in precious metals, the bullion business. We produce as a total business somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 billion coins a year, but within precious metals, it's considerably less than that. And we try to focus on our iconic styles and our iconic products that we mint and strike here in the UK. Those primarily are the sovereign, the gold sovereign, which we've been striking since 1489. Which, wow. I think, if I do a bit of maths, it's 2 or 3 years before America was founded. So we've been striking the same coin to the same consistency all that time. Although way back it was pure gold. Now we have an alloy of 22 carat. So that's one of our flagship coins. We have the Britannia, which we strike in gold and silver and platinum. And actually more recently, which a lot of your North American listeners will know, we introduced the Queen's Beast series about 2 years ago, which I'm really pleased and proud about. And we are continuing to launch those. I think we're 6th into the series at the moment of 10. We have 4 more. We produce those in a range of different metals and sizes and dimensions. That's been really pivotal for us to really establish ourselves internationally. We've been going, as I said, since 1489, producing precious metal products, but actually where we've really started to get commercial and creative commercial business is only in the last 5 years. So we've made a real headway in the last 2 or 3 years, and Queen's Beast has been one of our big success stories on throughout the world.
And we sure love working with you guys. And yes, the Britannias, gold and silver, the Queen's Beasts are all available at sprottmoney.com. And we certainly invite Canadian, U.S. listeners, really anybody around the world to check it out, because we always have very competitive prices there for them too. And and it's obviously very important to deal with we'll call it officially licensed coins in a sense, I guess, Chris, because there's so much talk out there about counterfeiting and fake metal, and you've always got to be careful. But I'd assume as long as you stick with official products like those from the Royal Mint, you don't have to worry about that. But question number 2, though, kind of does deal with that, and the steps that the Mint has taken to secure authenticity and to fight counterfeiting, and to know that you're buying an actual official Royal Mint product.
Yeah, we go out of our way, a lot to produce a really great product with every feature possible that is hard to counterfeit. Counterfeiting has been out there since the beginning, I guess.
Sure.
People have been trying to fake coins or fake other things as well. We have, luckily, I'm pleased to say, relatively low level, but we're always aware of our precious metal fakes and counterfeits that are out there, particularly in the Indian subcontinent, in parts of China. We've seen products out there. It's not something that affects our business adversely, But counterfeiting in general is something we take very seriously at the Mint. And it may interest your listeners to know that, we launched a new pound coin for general circulation 2 years ago. And this comes with a special feature, which we call a high security feature. It's sort of like some pixie dust that goes into the metal, which is picked up by a scanner. This is it's a world first. And it's the first circulation coin. We're exploring ways on how we can extend that into some of our precious metal coins and bars as well. It's something we take very seriously. And, I think by having it being a sovereign mint and having our quality control systems that we have, we lessen the risk of being counterfeited and copied.
You bet. You bet. Well, here's a fun question, Chris. You guys have been at it since 1489. That's mind-blowing. Over those years, maybe it's kind of a trivia question. What's the most valuable coin the Mint has created? You got anything that comes to mind?
Well, I'm gonna better you there, actually, Craig, because we started making the sovereign in 1489, but actually we go back about 1,100 years. I can't remember the exact date, but it's 900 and something.
Oh, my.
We have in our museum here in the Royal Mint in the UK, and I'd encourage any listeners who are in the UK to come and see us. We have a fantastic Royal Mint experience with a museum, and we have coins going back that we struck right the way back to Alfred the Great.
Wow,
which is incredible. So we have some pretty valuable coins, and we have a pretty impressive selection of stuff that we've struck. And actually, it's not just coins. We have in our Royal Mint experience, we have about 100,000 people who come around every year to see what we've done over the last 1,000 years. And, some of the things that we're very proud about is producing the Olympic medals, for example. We strike some beautiful products, and it's not just circulating and bullion coins, but it's also other medals and medallions.
Wow. Yeah, that's just remarkable. I'm going to have to get there. Where again is the headquarters in that museum?
We're based on a 38-acre site in South Wales, which is about 2 hours west of London along the M4. And just look us up. It's if you look Cardiff, it's in some very difficult to pronounce Welsh name called Llantrisant. But if you look up Royal Mint Cardiff, that's where we're based, and we have our visitor centre there.
Fantastic. I'm putting that on the list. All right, well, now moving forward to the 21st century, though, we've got, there's talk about, I guess we'll call it digital gold, maybe, however people want to put it, putting gold on the blockchain. We've seen countries, some sovereign countries, starting to attempt to do that. I've seen products with the name of Kinesis and One Gold around the world and here in the States. Just curious what your thoughts are about gold on the blockchain.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something we're very aware of. And as an executive member of the Mint, we have to be moving forward the whole time and reinventing ourselves. So we've been spending a lot of time in the last 3 years in looking into how we can not only put gold onto the blockchain, but actually create a long-term sustainable business from that in taking gold and precious metal into a digital space, and that with our brand and partnering with the right people. We had a product that we were hoping to launch a year or so ago, RMG, Royal Mint Gold, which we're still working on, and it's something that very much we are actively exploring this space. It's a very difficult area. It's quite challenging, and it's a little bit like, and I'm probably saying my age here, it's a bit of like those listeners who remember VHS and Betamax video.
Right.
It's there's going to be one successful product that comes through and one successful model, and there are a lot of people playing in this space. But with our brand and with whom we represent, we believe we want to be coming out with some product in this space. At the moment, though, we're not quite there, but we are definitely active there.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on to question number 4, Chris. This one I find particularly interesting. As far as I know, other than those little guys in Ireland that keep their gold at the end of the rainbow, there's not a lot of gold that gets mined in the UK. So I'm always curious to find out, where a mint like yours sources their gold and silver.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we don't have a mine. We don't have mines that belong to us, and we don't dig it out of the ground, and we don't process. Although we were the original mint, and I say with a slight tongue in cheek, but we were, one of the original mints, and the Australians in Perth and our cousins in Ottawa, they were branch mints of the UK mint, but they have the privilege of being able to dig products or at least be associated with mines. We have to be very careful, as any sovereign organization, that we are partnering with the right mines, with the sufficient ethical and environmental sort of, if you like, foundations in place that we are comfortable to associate our brand with. There's a lot of gold out there from, should I say, places that we would call into question, and we will only buy and source LBMA, safe delivery, sound delivery, gold and platinum and silver. So that's one of our sort of benchmarks on there. We go out a long way. We have a whole team testing on the compliance, but also the source and authenticity of our metals.
Yeah, it's obviously very important. To that end, I guess that's a good lead into, I guess I misspoke, to our sixth question. And, that's, I guess it has to do with almost kind of the black market that we see in gold sometimes around the planet. There's a lot of smuggling that takes place sometimes in the Gulf states or maybe in the Far East. Do you have any thoughts about that and how the Royal Mint and I guess other sovereign mints can help combat that?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I travel a lot. Actually, I was only in the Middle East in November, and I was in Asia just after then as well. It's a different world. The dynamics are very different, and we have to be very careful as a well-respected business with one, if you like, one value that resonates above all, which is trust, and people trust us from whom we are. We are active in the Middle East and active in India and subcontinent and in Asia. But I guess you just have to be very careful who you partner with and really understanding where the whole source of product and actually where the product's going on to. I think there's a lot of things, really interesting stuff at the moment going on with blockchain and the provenance of metals and going all the way back to the mines. And I think that's something that we're very interested in exploring further. I've looked at some products quite recently where we believe we can really tighten up in this area. So that, it takes away the risk of investors and people like ourselves as well being associated with, as you say, the more dubious areas of the precious metal industry. Yeah.
And our next to last question, the seventh question, I guess is kind of a follow-on to that and the sourcing. We talk about countries and from where you get it and working with the LBMA and mining companies. How about this, though? In regard to that sourcing, how is the current focus, if you will, on the environment, climate change, things like that? How has that influenced the mining partners that you work with?
Yeah, it's very in topic at the moment. The environment and not, it used to be several years ago, it would be, well, how is everyone treated? Their welfare and everything.
Right,
it's now gone to another dimension, and whether it's driven by, new millennial agenda, it's something we need to listen to and something we need to sort of pay attention to if there's a market out there. And I think more and more we're getting asked and demanded by some of our investors in wanting to know right down. I mentioned to you just the provenance, but it's not just, okay, where is the mine and where is the source on there? But people want to know what chemicals were used and what were the environmental standards that were actually being put in place.
Sure.
In mine or refinery X, Y, and Z. And I guess that's something that I'm really interested in, the way that can be traced and tracked. And I think the blockchain is one of those that will do that. But you're right, in those sort of questions are coming up more and more. And we either ignore it or we embrace that and try to develop some products around that, because it's all about listening to the customers.
Yeah. No, and actually, that's a pretty good segue into where I guess we can begin to wrap up with the final question. In that, I mean, you guys have been around, like you said, for centuries, and the business changes, customers change too. Just in your eyes, Chris, what trends do you see in the mint business in regards to new products and to sourcing of metals and everything else that affects your business?
Yeah, I think I'm actually relatively new to this industry. There are people who've been in the industry for decades. One of the things that I've seen is that there is a traditional investor in precious metals who typically, from our research and our insights, and it's not a secret, tend to be often it's male in their 40s or 50s plus, and it's a certain profile. We've seen this move. We have our own online B2C business. We have about 40,000 customers here in the UK, and I'm surprised at seeing that demographic lowering. And we're now seeing quite a few investors in their 30s and 40s who have a completely different set of criteria for their investment portfolio, what they want out of precious metal. That's really encouraging to see. No doubt that they are looking for other ways to trade and buy. So whether blockchain and digital is definitely in scope. I think it's an industry very much in change in that respect. We still produce our coins and our bars on our physical side, but it's creating that added dimension. And we're just about to launch a trading app, and it's all about how that demographic, how those customers want to react, and they're used to working and trading with other products throughout their lives. And I think our industry, the precious metal industry, has to be moving into this space too.
Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Chris, I tell you, this has been fascinating. Before we go, I want to remind everybody, you can get your Britannias and a whole bunch of other sovereign coins, bullion coins, all of them at sprottmoney.com. You can also set up an account to store it safely there, too. Take that problem off your hands as well. Again, sprottmoney.com, your online resource for everything, all your bullion needs. Chris, it's been a real pleasure. This has been great fun, fascinating information, and I'm sure everybody listening is glad they took the time to do it. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Great, thanks very much, and goodbye from England. Okay, cheers.
And for all of us at Sprott Money News and SprottMoney.com, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon.